Let's look ahead to Sunday in the NBA. There are 5 games on. How do we stream in, blokes, to win us our weekly matchup in Week 14? Michael Bolton, should we stream you?
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and how do you say it in English? Cucumber? I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We are available on all platforms. Double bang? Yeah. Go ahead and listen to the audio, watch the video, and when you're over here, you give it a thumbs up, you hit the bell, you subscribe, and you leave a comment. And don't forget, trade deadline show Thursday, February 8th, 1 p.m. Eastern. I've pushed it earlier. We're going to go earlier. Who cares? What do I need sleep for? Let's go earlier on that day. So go and pre-like. I want to get 1,000 pre-bangs, and I want to get 20,000 people in there watching. That is, again, a very steep ask, but you never know. Let's talk Sunday. There are 5 games on. Early start again. Not quite as early as it was on Saturday. Let me just have a quick look. Hey, Joel Embiid just got ruled out on Saturday. Of course he did, against the Nuggets. Of course he did. First game starts 2 p.m. Eastern. 2 p.m. Eastern Sunday. So there you go. You got a 2 p.m., you got a 3:30 p.m. Eastern. You got 6 p.m. games, and then you got the late game, which is not that late. So there you go. Just so much stuff is actually happening right now for Saturday's games as I'm talking about this. With LaMelo Ball just got ruled out. Julius Randle just went to the locker room with a shoulder injury, which looked pretty bad, honestly. Yeah, not good. That looked really bad. And they have no power forwards at all. So that would mean Josh Hart would have to start, I'm guessing, and Anunoby would be the 4. I guess, Jesus Christ. And then Embiid is out today, so Paul Reed's starting. Yeah, just stuff going on all over the place. I don't even remember if I hit this, but we're looking ahead to Sunday. 5 games on in the NBA. Let's give a quick injury update of what we do currently know in terms of injuries. Derrick Rose will be out. DeAndre Hunter is out. Emmanuel Quickley is out. Gaz Harris is out. Bol Bol is out. The skater boy, Zach LaVine, is out. I don't know about this for the Pistons, but both Cade Cunningham and Monte Morris played on Saturday. They're the only team with a back-to-back, so I'm going to expect after the 3-month absence of Morris and the 2-week or so injury for Cade, and the fact that he didn't come back Wednesday was because of conditioning, I'm going to guess that he doesn't play the back-to-back. So I've got both Monte and Cade both doubtful. Jakob Poeltl is officially doubtful for the Raptors, so his return's coming soon. We haven't had an update on Tyrese Halliburton, but this is sort of the end of that initial secondary injury management. There's definitely not a re-injury. It's just a management thing that was 100% planned all the way through. We definitely knew this is what we're going to do. Don't question it at all. This is how we normally manage injuries. So that's the end of that now. So whether he plays or not, he won't play. But I'm just going to put him questionable for now. Jalen Suggs left the last game with a knee bruise. I don't think he'll play. Yusuf Nurkic is officially questionable. They also popped Brad Beal on the injury report with a nasal fracture. He's questionable there too. So that could be without a bunch of guys. The Blazers have probably the biggest question marks. Malcolm Brogdon, Jeremy Grant, and Scoot Henderson. Brogdon missed the last game. Grant left the last game. And Scoot left the last game. And this is the first of a back-to-back for the Blazers. So I wouldn't be shocked if... Brogdon's going to sit one of them, I'm pretty sure. I think they all might be out, honestly, in this game. Jonte Porter, who has an eye issue, he is probable, and you'll see that I've gone out of order there because as I was making these graphics, the Grizzlies announced that Luke Kennard, the Duck, was out with knee soreness. Now, I think what this means now is that Kennard is going to miss one of each back-to-back with this knee problem. As in, we've got the LaMelo Ball one today with his ankle. He might miss back-to-backs for a while moving forward here as well. They're just little things to remember. So, is it a Scottie Pippen day? It might be, but Kennard is going to be out on Sunday, and we might have other random stuff occur, as always seems to happen in the NBA. So, who has the back-to-back Sunday leading into Monday? It's Memphis, it's the Thunder, it's the Magic. So Markelle Fultz and John Isaac, I'm expecting them to play on Sunday and not play Monday, but I don't know. The Suns have the back-to-back, and the Blazers have that back-to-back. So that's why I'm a little bit cautious about Brogdon, Grant, and Scoot, whether they all play on Sunday, whether they're all going to play both games. I would be very, very doubtful if we get 6 games out of those 3 players combined for Portland over the next 2 days. I'll be very, very surprised. Let's talk Yahoo points. Who can we stream in? Now, I have been looking in the streaming look-ahead shows and changing some of the cutoffs for 10 and 12 team leagues just because of inactivity across leagues. But with this show that we do, we're not really specifying individual league size. So I've done it just to anyone on this list who's available in 50% plus of leagues. So it caters to shallower formats, it caters to standard formats, and it caters to some deeper formats as well. On Yahoo points, I do believe in Jabari Walker because I think his role's relatively secure. Yeah, he's had a couple of up and down games for sure, but there's a chance that Brogdon or Grant or both or Scoot or all 3 are out. And that means more shots for old mate Jabari. Could they also rest Ayton on the back-to-back? I guess the snowman with his knee tendonitis could be out as well. So I'm really interested in what Jabari is going to bring. I've got Santi Aldama there as a stream. They are clearly at the moment, for whatever reason, prioritizing Santi over Xavier Tillman. Now, again, this is a back-to-back for Memphis, and Santi's been dealing with knee soreness. Tillman's dealt with knee soreness. They're not on the injury report yet, so I expect that they're going to be okay for Sunday at least, and maybe sit Monday, but just watch that. But Santi's not, to me, a high upside player at all, as you're well aware of what I feel about him with his poor percentages, low volume scoring, and not much in terms of defensive stats. But on a day like this with 5 games on, he does profile pretty well, especially with the absence now of Luke Kennard's also there. Ayo Dosunmu I've got on that list with Levine out. Alec Burks with the assumption that Cade is out. But if Cade is in, I wouldn't look to Burks. I've got Patty Williams on there for Yahoo points. And I've got your mate, Lil John Konchar. Yeah! For ESPN points, it's a lot of the same names. Santi Aldama, Jabari Walker, Ayo Dosunmu. Thad Young steps up there with Pirtle not likely to play. And whatever goes on with the Porter minutes, they're all over the shop. But Thad is an interesting stream. You got Johnny Konchar on that list too, along with the one and only Patrick Williams, Kawhi Leonard clone. Patrick Williams, you know how good he is. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. That is what brings home the winning trophy. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors have everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, LED headlights, bumper stickers, maybe. Do they have that? Is that helping your performance? But it helps your style. Whatever it is you need, speed, power, style, eBay Motors has you covered. What is your bumper sticker of choice? With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at all the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. I don't like that, MVP, because I can't even find a good, most valuable. What's the P? Vehicle, transport, Peugeot? What's the P? How can I turn P into an all-encompassing term for car? I don't think I can, but that's fine. Because keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to US customers. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. The Super Bowl is coming, and happy Super Bowl to all of you who celebrate from FanDuel, America's number one sportsbook. If you are like me and you sit on the couch watching the Super Bowl, you get your snacks cracking out, and it is all about scoring that best seat, grabbing all of your snacks, and placing some super bets. FanDuel has so many ways for you to end the season with a W, or 2, or 3. Not only can you bet on who will win the Super Bowl, but you can bet on who scored touchdowns. You can bet on how many points will be scored. You can bet on all of the individual things they always chuck up there, player props. You can do some same-game parlays. You can do so many different things for FanDuel over there for Super Bowl 58. New customers, if you join today, you get $200. $200 now in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. So put one on that you think's going to win. Get your $5 in there and get $200 in bonus bets back. Go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. That is FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and don't forget to gamble responsibly. Okay, let us move now into some category league streaming options for the points category. We are looking at Alec Burks, remembering again that I have made the assumption that Cade Cunningham will not play. That might be incorrect, but that is the assumption I've made. I'm going with Gaz Trent there, although last game we saw Bruce Brown get more minutes. Their rotation's a little iffy, but Gaz does have at least some of that spike 20-point potential, which is always interesting. I've got Santi Aldama there, who might be a 14, 15-point guy. I don't think he's got much spike potential, but there's something there at least for him in the points category. Ayo Dosunmu, who's been honestly one of the worst permanent fantasy players over the last 2 years, has improved a lot. Aggression's up, usage is up, efficiency's still there, which is great. And that turns him into an interesting points guy with the minutes they're giving him at the moment. I've got the depressed penis, Sadiq Bey, who does sit at under 50% rostered. He is by no means a must-roster player. Someone queried that the other day. They said, Josh, you told us 2 days ago that Brandon Pajemski can be jacked off. Get that garbage out of here. And I didn't respond to this guy in the comments because I'll respond to it now. It's just easier to explain. He said, but then you said the next day that he can be streamed in. And yes, right. I know that sounds incongruous. I know it sounds counterintuitive. But if I tell you that you can drop Brandon Pajemski, that means that if you look at your roster and Brandon Pajemski is sitting on there, you go, I need to get somebody in to play a game tomorrow, or there's a hot free agent pickup coming up, Brandon Pajemski is eminently move-onable from. You don't have to hold him. He's not going to provide regular value where you just have to sit and hold through bad schedule, through whatever. That's what I mean when I say you can jack this guy off. He's absolutely not needed to be held. But when you get to a one-day situation where you're talking about guys who are just not rostered in many spots, and you look at, what do I do to stream in someone for that one day? Well, then Pajemski's value rises. The same as when I talk about Lou Dort. And you hear me say, Lou Dort can be streamed basically every day. Dylan Brooks, Norman Powell. But if they're on my roster, they're my worst player, so therefore I don't need to hold them. And when they go through a stretch where they don't play a game for 3 days, I'm not going, just wait till Norman Powell comes back, hey? It's going to be sick. I can't wait to get him back in. No, you just move on. And then you get the next guy in. And then you get the next guy in. And they always pop up as an option for you. And that's what Pajemski is. Not someone that we need to hold. You don't have to hold them through things. But you can look at them when the situation arises as being a streamable player. That is what I meant by that. And I hope that description or explanation makes sense. And that's what I'm at with Bay. You don't have to roster him. His last couple of games have been very strong. But the previous 20 were terrible. Even though DeAndre Hunter was out all that time. But now that he's been dropped and he's under 50% rostered, there's an ability to add Sadiq Bey in and get some points out of him. I got Jabari Walker on that list as well as a points streamer. For threes, a lot of correlation between points and three-pointers. We know this. Alec Burks, Gary Trent, Santi Aldama, Aaron Nesmith, who really takes a lot of his shots from three and is sort of back in form at the moment. Sadiq Bey and, of course, Midwest, Dylan Brooks. Lou Dort is on that list. He has been putrid of late. So a big 30-point game on 2 shots is coming from Dort soon. Absolutely, he's going to hit 130% of his shots. It's going to happen, and then you'll go back to doing nothing. You know how it rolls with Lugents. Rebounds. Jabari Walker always got double-digit rebound upside in his starting role. And this man, the big avocado, keeps popping up. I guess it's because there's only 5 games on, but we know he's an elite rebounder. So if you're looking for 7 rebounds in 15 minutes, Drummo might do that for you. He's not someone... He's still rostered in just a stupid amount of leagues, by the way. It just does not need to be the case. He's not a 12-team league player. And is one of these guys, side note, where we go, I remember back in the day when he was on the Pistons and he was like a top 20 fantasy player. And then people go, maybe the Bulls are going to blow things up and they're going to trade Vooch and Drummond will start. Or there's the other line of thought, what if Drummond gets traded into a starting job at the deadline? Like you are grasping onto past glories like Tom Thibodeau does with his hair. Like it's just not happening. Like no one is trading for Drummond to be their starting center. If the Bulls do trade Vooch, again, probably unlikely. Yeah, Drummond might start there, but you're viewing him like, he just needs a chance. Like, bro, he's a backup center and he has been for 5 years now for a very specific reason. So he's just one of those guys who seems to, people just like grasp. They hold on to that like, he just needs a chance. They're doing him dirty. Not so much. Santi Aldama, he is a double-digit rebound guy sometimes. Sometimes he's putrid, but there's an opportunity. Sadiq Bey can get your rebounds just through being out there for like 38 minutes anyway. I've got Asar Thompson. It's always tough to trust what Monty Williams is going to do, but Asar can pull down 7 or 8 in his 20 minutes, and there are opportunities with Monty and Cade likely out. Monte likely out, not Monty, not to confuse you with the coach. There are some valuable minutes maybe popping up there for Asar. And then, of course, there's Lil John Konchar, one of the best out-of-position rebounders. If you're looking for a 6'5 guy to get your rebounds and blocks, he's the guy somehow. That's what he does. That's what he's always done, and he continues to do. For assists, I have got Killian Hayes on this list. And much like Alec Burks at the top of points and threes, Hayes is here because I don't know whether Cade Cunningham is going to play, and I expect he doesn't. But, of course, If Cade does play, then we're not touching Killian Hayes with a 5-foot pole, 6-foot pole, 34-foot pole, whatever it is. Whatever size pole you're dealing with, you're not touching him with it because he barely played on Saturday, which I think is going to be out of the rotation soon, to be honest. I've got Markel Fultz there under the assumption he plays. I've got Jacob Gilead there, but do they play Scottie Pippen over him? I don't know, but Gilead is an assist option. Andrew Nembhard and TJ McConnell, who would rise to the top of this list if we hear that Tyrese Halliburton is ruled out, and at this point we don't know that. And then I do have Scott Pippen on there as an assist guy. The last time we saw minutes from him, 15-6-6, but also worth noting when Kennard came back, he played fat zero. So at the moment, he's only a stream or a very, very deep league stash guy, who I do have a level of faith in. It's just probably not going to be realized, would be my guess. Today's episode is also brought to you by old mates or new mates over at Quiz. You can test your NBA knowledge at Quiz. That is Quiz with 3 eyes. It's the next generation trivia experience. It's also the world's first platform where you can earn money playing knowledge games. And for fans of the NBA across the Locked On Network, they've created an NBA quiz game where you can test your knowledge and win real cash. The Hornets play their home games at which arena is one of the questions that I've been given here. And it says Spectrum Center. There you go. There's a lot of questions about arenas and about mascots through here. So here's an interesting one for the Raptors. Which player holds the record for most points scored in a single game for the Raptors? The answer is Fred VanVleet. There you go. There you go. All these quiz questions you can have a look at over at Quiz, and you don't have to download anything. You can just go to app.quiz with 3eyes.com and start playing today. Go to app.quiz.com to test your knowledge, win cash today. That is Quiz with 3 eyes, just like a 3-pointer. Ruining the game. Play now, showcase your skills, and take home cash prizes. App.quiz.com, where fans, I don't like this, where fans become champions. I know a lot of you guys don't understand the impact of the word champ or champion in Australia. You call someone a champion, it's the worst C word that we can say over here. Yeah. Anyway, let's look at these champions. The Steel Stream options for Sunday. I've got Thad Young up there. It is obviously a little bit up and down in terms of how many minutes he gets given. I've got Markel Fultz. Of course, the painter Matisse Thybulle. He's always, that's what he does. He doesn't do anything else. Aaron Nesmith, Lil John Konchar, and Patty Williams. So a pretty good array of strong steel options are going to be available to you. Blocks, it's less interesting because look who we're relying upon. John Konchar for blocks. I know he had a 5-block game, but come on. John Isaac, he played 20 minutes last game, had no defensive stats, which is obviously abnormal. And he says, his quote after the game was so interesting. He's like, yeah, I told coach I'm starting to feel better being able to play out the game. He's like, bro, I know you've had a lot of injuries. I know you have. I know, but I was under the assumption that your minutes were low for 2 reasons. They didn't think that your body could handle it in terms of re-injury, and the guys ahead of you were just way better, which is obviously true. But he's out here claiming that he's only been playing 15 minutes a night because his conditioning can't handle it. No treadmills for the last 3 years? Haven't been running at all for that time? How is it taking you this long to be in well, now I can play 20 minutes. What are you talking about? Anyway, he's not good enough to play 30 minutes a night on this team anyway, but he's a good blocks guy. Drew Eubanks would rocket to the top of this list if Yusuf Nurkic is out. Pat Williams might get you 1, Santi might get you 1, and Aaron Nesmith for out-of-position blocks. So it is a weird blocks streaming day on Sunday. If we're looking at field goal percentage, we're going to the big avocado, Andre Drummond. We are going to Drew Eubanks, Thad Young, Flaming Mo Wagner, who's getting the backup center minutes there behind Wendell Carter in Orlando, not Goga Badadze. Sticks Jalen Smith, who basically fouled out in 9 minutes last game. And Aaron Wiggins, who's been unbelievable. Now, his volume and minutes aren't that high, but he gets like 16, 17, and 9. Just quickly, check out the Thunder. They run an 11-man rotation, by the way, most nights. 11 guys. The other thing to note, and I didn't put it on the ins and outs because he doesn't play, but Trey Mann is out for personal reasons. Trey Mann, I think, is going to get traded. Is his personal reasons to do with being traded? Most of the time, I don't. Those things where people just always jump on it and say, this is why someone's out, I would be not shocked if that was to do with that for trade, to be honest, because he requested a trade in the offseason. So, yeah, not that I think he's going to be able to necessarily be good somewhere, but just watch where Trey Mann lands. If he does get traded, I'm not as certain on him getting traded as I am with DeJounte Murray, but just watch to see what happens with Trey Mann as I segment or segue that from Aaron Wiggins. Free throw percent, we're looking at Alec Burks. We're looking at Cole Anthony, who is not a rosterable guy. He's in that Norman Powell, Leaky Beasley, Brandon Pajemski mix now of guys that you don't need to hold, but they're going to be stream guys for a long time, whose value would probably rise if Jalen Suggs is out. You've got Sadiq Bey, you've got Grade A Dick, whose minutes are pushing up a little bit at the moment. Marcus Sasser, who probably wouldn't play if Cade is healthy, but we're not expecting Cade to play. So Sasser's there, and Lou Dort is a good free throw guy as well. Let's look at some other categories for three-point percentage. That's iffy, man. But Gary Trent, we know the volume's going to be there, so if at least he hits them, that's good value. Assisted turnover, we're going to go with Jacob Gilead. Offensive rebounds, Andre Drummond. Free throws made, Alec Burks. Field goals made, Gary Trent. And then for some reason, I just got Lou Dort's name there because you know what? We're all, in the end, we're all just Lou Dort. And that brings us to the end of today's show. Don't forget to go ahead and hit the thumbs up, the subscribe, the bell, and leave your comments down below. Double bang it, and then pre-bang on the live trade deadline show. That would be sick. If you guys could go and do that, guys, we're done here. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. See ya.